One and a two and a
And just like that, after a quick 45-second groove sesh, we are here with a brand new live stream here at Longbox Punk. That's me. I'm Chris the Punk, and I am joined by not one, not two, but three-time post-punk now, CL Zeno. My dude, how the heck are you?
Good. I feel like I need a switchback comb and sunglasses and a 55 Chevelle. Yeah, after the intro.
I need to have like leopard prints inside at least half of my jacket. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's
and like four dudes just snapping behind me.
just grooving.
I love it.
One of them like fixing the hair as it's going. Oh yeah. It's a whole mood. I actually put together like a whole treatment presentation doc for it.
That's awesome.
Because I sent it to a couple of musician friends of mine, like, hey, if I give you this, can you whip something together? And a couple of them took a look and they were like, I can't do that. No, that's not in my repertoire. And I was like, okay. And then through a connection through Rolling Squid Bones, I got in touch with Weston Miller, who's the one that did the song, all the music, all the instruments, all the recording, all the mastering, like everything. So mad shout out and props to Weston Miller. I've got a Facebook link to his page in the comments, so you can check out him and all of the things that he is doing. He's also like an indie pro wrestler, which I'm like, dude, what don't you do? Like, you're a musician,
it's awesome.
You're a wrestler, you run a merch shop. Like, what don't you do, my guy? So yeah, great to shine some love Weston's way. And while we're talking about love, 5-Star Comic-Con is now 22 days away. So tickets are ridiculously cheap. $15 for Saturday, $12 for Sunday, $25 for the whole weekend. I'll put the link somewhere. It's not here. I wasn't actually that prepared, but I'll make sure that you get the link so you can have tickets and join us in Dayton, Ohio at the Dayton Convention Center, June 20th and 21st. I'll be there. I'll be on a panel. I'll be hosting like 5 other panels. There's going to be wrestling both days. There's going to be cosplay contests, adults on Saturday, kids on Sunday, and just a whole lot of general fun and nerding out. So join us, won't you? Okay.
Yeah, you got to get with Jason, because I know he wanted to do wrestling at Cosplay World and have basically staged fights between costume characters, not in the WWE tradition, but in the superhero comic book tradition. So I know he'll love picking your brain about that.
Yeah, I think actually, so we're working with Ascend Pro Wrestling that's based here in the like greater Cincinnati area. And I think on Saturday they're doing matches in costume, like superhero costumes and stuff.
Awesome.
I know I've seen it at, I think it was at GalaxyCon in Columbus, and they had like a cosplay wrestling event. It was already sold out, so I couldn't get into it, but like, yeah, that's the best of both worlds for me, of like, who would actually win in a fight, Deadpool or Batman? I don't know. Put them in the ring and let's see.
We saw it was in, I think, Cary, North Carolina, in the triangle there. They had Christmas wrestling when we were down, because Christmas is a big deal in Raleigh, apparently, we found out. Every little town has, an entire community of lights that do a coordinated light show that you can drive through, and they hook it up to your radio because they're streaming music, and they sync it with the music. And like, just every place had a cute little Christmas town. And the wrestling that they had in Raleigh or Cary was the Grinch versus, Santa Claus. And it was legitimately so freaking cool, because like, if there's one kid in the area, the entire show is for that one kid, they're reaching out to the wires, reaching out because he's got to get the kids, high five in order to get the strength to save Christmas.
Oh,
Like it's
cool.
it's perfect. Like it's literally the most perfect event. So
yeah, I love that. Like stuff like that happens even for just the singular kid. Like that's totally the best. Those are the people that I love meeting, to just give them the high five of like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Because as a kid that didn't have the thing locally, that like I didn't know about, independent wrestling as a kid. I didn't know, other than my two friends at school, I didn't know any older people that still read comic books. And so showing kids that, hey, like I'm an adult and I love this and you should too, and we're doing this for you, and giving them a chance to nerd out, like that's the sweet spot. And that's, I think, what we're trying to do with 5-Star. And I know there's a lot of organizations that are trying to do more things like that for kids, because it's kind of an untapped area, honestly. Like, yes, superheroes now rule the world, thanks Marvel, but as far as like other comics and other, animes still on the rise and exploding everywhere, I just think it's great. Like this is the best time to be a nerd, because you have to like do it in our, read comics or do whatever our nerddom is in the shadows anymore. We can talk about, I love doing this. So it's good. Love it. Speaking of June, how you feeling? You're a couple of weeks out, right?
We are getting married on June 20th in Los Angeles on the beach with our family. Very small ceremony, and we're pretty like budget conscious. Like we didn't need to rent out the Chrysler Museum or anything crazy. We're just doing it at the beach. We're doing it at an arcade for the reception, like a barcade. Nice. 82 in Los Angeles. They've got a big Street Fighter mural on the side that'll be in most of our wedding photos. And then like we have it catered. We have it put on a nice event for our family, and then they'll have unlimited tokens to play arcade games.
Dude, that sounds like the coolest reception.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. And like Beverly found her wedding dress that she wanted very quickly, and it has like applique flowers on it, and she's like, can we order more of those applique things just for fun? And then she went to an alterations place and got my suit to have the same flower applique on it. Nice. So it's very non-traditional, but really cool and fun and maximalist and hippie and silly. So
hell yeah, dude.
We're really excited.
That's awesome. I hope it goes perfectly and all of the things. It sounds like it's going to be a great freaking time though. Like that makes me jealous that I didn't think to do a reception at a barcade. Like that sounds like the coolest reception of all time. So congrats.
Early people in our backyard the following week, and nobody has to fly out to LA or anything crazy, spend a bunch of money, get in a hotel. So it's just we're having a good time. We're here to make our families celebrate and have a good time, and our friends here in Virginia. So we're really excited.
That's awesome. Okay, so part of that leads into your 2026 is insane, dude.
I've been up way more than I could chew this year.
Like, what possessed you? I mean, I'm sure it's kind of all like a bit of happenstance of like, oh yeah, I guess that's coming out this year too, and so's that. And then if we're gonna launch the prequel series, we should do that this year too. How in the world did you end up with? You have 3 upcoming campaigns, but then you also just had Enchanted Circus 2 was this year.
Yep.
You had
Shrunk Mom 3
that was
Phantasmagoria 2 was this year.
Yeah, like so you've already had 3 and you have 3 more to come, and so wedding and
Shrunk Mom 4, Enchanted Circus 3, Salvage 1, and I believe Cthulhu Invades, which I wrote a story in, will be out this year as well. It is what it is, man.
How do you balance that?
So I don't is the the right answer.
Perfect.
Basically, it's the conversation that I hear a lot in creator spaces. Comic creators talk about this a lot. Is what does success look like to you?
Mm.
Because it's an important question. Because like as an indie creator, you want to get your story out. You want to be, successful. You want to, have the successful funding on Kickstarter. Get the comic out to as many eyeballs as you want. But like that's a very infinite growth, adventure. Which, as we all know, is a fallacy. It's just not infinite growth forever is not sustainable or realistic. So like we have to limit that or bind it. So like, I wrote Drunk Mom 1 through 12 in 2017 through 2020. I wrote Enchanted Circus 1 through 3 in 2024 through 2025, like that winter right there. We're writing Salvage actively right now. The first 3 issues are written, and the next 3 issues are being worked out right now. So like, but like my body and my time are pushing back, right? Like when you work to the point of burnout, and you no longer are productive, and you're like, why am I not productive? Why can't I do this thing that's just worked for the last 3 months, which is just go 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 go? Well, that's because you're human and you have limitations, and you need rest, and you need enrichment, like a zookeeper would say. You need to go outside. You need to hang out with friends. You need to have fun. And so, yeah, like it's I think like very like ADHD, neurodivergent, creative thing to have to learn to balance that. And that's fine. Like everybody kind of goes through that. And so like the artistic community is a really great one in that we have those conversations kind of openly in public, about burnout, about success and comparison and all that stuff. And, I'm just, I guess, like learning those lessons by myself and not really feeling judged by a whole lot of people, which helps me not judge myself. So yeah, that's great. And so like, I really don't think success looks like, writing something for Marvel, DC, or Image, or anything crazy like that. Like, I don't think that is required for success. Success is, being able to do this for a long period of time and tell my stories and build a community, that feels like a safe place for people. And I think, if something like a writing for Marvel, DC were to come, I don't think it would change the way that I write. I don't think it would change what I'm doing. It would just be for a different customer, and not myself, And so I have to kind of like ground myself in those expectations and say like, hey buddy, like nobody's expecting Drunk Mom 3, for a couple months. It's okay if you work a 12-hour shift at the power company and then go home and play video games and sleep. That's okay. Because working on 12-hour shifts is crazy and not a lot of people do it. And then also most people who do work 12-hour shifts don't go home and draw comic books immediately afterwards. So you're fine. No one's judging you. Like that has been a part of it, I think. This year for conventions has also been crazy. I have my Human Intelligence tour that I'm doing. And so I'm doing a bunch of Comic-Cons in Virginia. And then I have my first 2 out-of-state conventions. I went to Columbia, Tennessee for the Columbia Toy and Comic Expo, which was great. And then I'm going to Hershey City, PA for Hershey City Comic Con in July.
Okay.
Nice. And so, yeah, like I think the convention scene is also a whole nother animal to where like you want to curate the events that you do because you don't want to just do every event. Because that, again, you'll burn yourself out. And so you want to go like where your market would be. You don't want to like do an anime convention if your style is very Western and very, very Americana, because that's just not the audience that you're looking for, maybe. Or like a, video game centric con, or a, like a punk rock flea market might be an appropriate thing for Barricade Brigade, but maybe not for another comic book. And so like it's hard for you to kind of organically learn those things in real time. So I do want to kind of remind myself that staying local is great, building my local community is important, and like something like New York Comic Con or Emerald City or San Diego or something bigger might be in the cards later. But like, if I'm being honest, like it would not come before a trade paperback is on my table. So I have to be realistic about that because those are going to sell a lot better. You know, you have a hard time selling issue 2s, you know, even if someone's interested in the series, I'll grab issue 1 of that. And right now I kind of just half the time give them issue 2 anyway, just because I want them to read it. But yeah, it's just learning those lessons that everybody else learns, and doing what I can do. My partner is extremely supportive. She helps, you know, I think ground me when I'm having trouble, just kind of having this like anxiety spiral of creativity to where, you know, hey, why am I not feeling better? Well, because you haven't drinking any water today. So that's why.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun.
Turns out like water and vitamin D
super important
matter. I actually just had a doctor's appointment and I was talking to my doctor, like, I find myself, I think I've reached the burnout phase because I just the past like month and a half, I just have found that I don't care about anything. Like I don't care. I can't bring myself to, I can't force myself to care. I'm just like, whatever. Okay, sure. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And your brain's job's not to make you happy. Maybe your brain's job is to keep you alive. And,
right.
And so like, for me, like I have like lots of anxiety. And so like, I have to kind of understand that, you know, even if the anxiety isn't based on anything right now, you know, there's a reason why it felt hypervigilant and just kind of afraid of everything and just doesn't want anything bad to happen again, because that's its job. And so like, if I want to feel happy, it's my responsibility to, you know, take the wheel and do things that will make me happy.
Yeah. I as I've been like self-reflecting of, well, what happened? Like, how did I go from everything is amazing? And I was updating some buddies that I hadn't seen since in almost a year. I was like, yeah, I got a new job and it's better. And I'm making comics and we just launched this anthology and I'm taking part and like getting paid to put together a Comic-Con. And like my relationship with my daughter's awesome. Like all of these things are big wins. And they were like, that's super awesome. And I was like, and I'm still depressed. And like, that's still real. And, you know, my cousin said when I was up in Buffalo last year, my wife was like, shouldn't you guys be drinking water? He was like, I am drinking water. It's hot and poured over beans and like drink coffee. So it's good to see that Catanot does that as well. I don't know that counts. Just like I don't know that my sparkling water actually counts as water, but I try to tell myself that.
I conceded to the hydration cult. That's what Big Water wants you to do is drink more water. So I've been taking caffeine with L-theanine to kind of like lower my anxiety while also waking me up like in the morning. And so like I was talking to my friend at work about it and they're like, why do you take a caffeine pill? Like, it just seems like you can just drink coffee. And I'm like, well, I do get dehydrated very quickly. So like if I start my day with a caffeine pill, I can start drinking water immediately afterwards. And they're like, so you can't just drink coffee and then drink water? I'm like, well, sure. But then I'm drinking water later and I also have to pee because like to get the caffeine, I have to drink a whole cup of coffee. It's a whole thing.
It's like Kevin Hart, like, see the way my bank account works.
Right. Yeah. I'll just send you my therapist number. She'll catch you up. Yeah.
See, I don't talk to one therapist. I talk to creators on my show, and that's how I just
it's cheaper. Yeah,
process things. But I do think
that's part of writing too, right? Is like make your readers go through what you're going through, and then like, man, I really feel for this character. You know, they just need this and this and this, and you're like, yeah, that is what they need, and not me in any way.
It's absolutely. What did you say they need though? Can you just slow down and spell that out, please? Yeah. Just... It is though, like it is processing stuff. And I know we've talked about it before, but like with Monica and Drunk Mom, like how much of your stuff are you willing to put in a comic before you're like, I don't want to put all of my closeted shadows and issues into this, but like, I got to let some of them out. How do you,
I mean, about 100%.
Okay.
Like, the symbol at the top left of the keyboard, the little squiggly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that 100%.
Got
Like, so
it.
there's, you know, each project needs something different, right? Like
Yeah.
from each their ability to each their need, right? Like I have a specific POV that I can provide to this story, and like this story is going to need something different than Enchanted Circus needs, that, you know, Tales of Goop needs and Phantasmagoria. And like even that one, like just to kind of like talk about the concept, right? Like I write the D&D campaign that character is based on.
Yeah.
And in that medium, the character needs something different than he needs in the comic book, right? Because the D&D character is a vehicle for my sister. It's her character, a vehicle for my sister to have fun and play the game. And so I need to create things that are fun for her to engage in. That is a completely different medium than a comic book. And so like it's not rewarding for the reader to like do a, you know, choose your own adventure. Like I would have to make a whole thing to make it as interactive as a game. So like I need to treat that character with a little bit more agency and like a real person than I would in the game. So the ending of that campaign for that character and the ending of the comic book are going to be very different. And I like told my sister, like, hey, this is not going to be canon to the campaign. I hope you're okay with this. It's just like, yeah, nobody cares. It's four of our friends who play this game. It's not like Critical Role, man. You're fine.
Yeah.
And then so like Monica has obviously, like, my parents are divorced. My biological mother is an active alcoholic when I was growing up, right, and lost custody. And so like her, you know, mess has like a whole impact on my life. And you know, when I turned 21 in the Navy, you know, I start drinking, and you know, I quit drinking in 2019. And so like I have my own sobriety journey, and I was already writing a story, you know, for myself, for my inner child in 2017, and then it evolved kind of organically through that. And you know, there's a theme in Drunk Mom issue 2, the one that has your review on the front, has, you know, a villain who is a pedophile. You know, he gets caught red-handed in a you know, motel room, and you know, Craig, the hero, you know, saves this girl from this horrible thing that's going to happen to her. And like that is a personal story, and like I can provide a understanding of a character who is you know, a child molester, because that is something that I went through. And so, you know, I have a unique, you know, human perspective that can be portrayed in this story. And so I'm going to tell it that way instead of like choosing other crimes. I'm going to choose, you know, a cult of, you know, new age religious weirdos who think that touching kids is okay, because that's something I went through. So like, yeah. And, you know, there's, you know, I think human elements to like studying cults and studying this kind of stuff, you know, about how like, you know, hurt people, and like those stories are valid, but that doesn't erase the harm that they do. And so like, you know, having a story about healing and actually protecting kids, and like how to interrupt those cycles of abuse is really important to me. But also I understand that is super dark, you know, like one of the most dark things that you could write about. And so I need to balance that with, yes, you know, the heroes are coming to save these kids, but also, you know, there needs to be light and joy and color and fun to make it worth your time and like a palatable pill to swallow. You know, you can't talk about depression in Thor in Endgame without making the rest of that movie really freaking fun. And so like you can go to that place and have this moment with this character that's really real and profound because the storytelling makes it earned. And so like that is a huge house of cards to have to build. And so like, yeah, the characters in Drunk Mom have like so much love and like care into their crafting that like I think that is what comes through first, is where people are like, I really like these characters because they are real people, and you've taken the time to flesh out who Monica is, who Craig is, who Bobby, her son is, her principal, her teacher, the kid's teacher and principal, her boss, her ex when he comes up. Like there's just so many characters that are reflections of real experiences, hopefully, and hopefully that comes through. Because that's what I'm trying to do first and foremost in Drunk Mom, is make people like the characters and want to root for them. That's like mission number one is getting you on the side of the heroes.
Yeah. And it's not easy to do.
No.
Like that's as a new writer, and going into like future iterations of what we're doing with Barricade Brigade, it's definitely more challenging to go, okay, well, I have all this stuff that I figured out in my head, but how for like each individual character and their backstories and why we put them through what we put them through, but how do I make that make sense in the comic without it just being like preamble and, the world building stuff with like no forward momentum happening to progress this? Like, how do they show that and reveal that as their feet are continuing to run forward towards these monsters? Like that's the balance that I'm finding is actually kind of fun, because it's a new challenge for me. Instead of like, I love writing short form horror. And if I could, I would probably only ever do that. Like 6 to 8 pages, horror, punchy, quick, you're in, you're out. It's great, done. And then you move on. And so I've been challenging myself just to do 1-page stories to see if I can have an arc of a story in a single page. And that's a fun challenge, because I have to think differently of like, okay, well, what's the meat and potatoes? What doesn't matter for what's happening, but that I also already thought through, because it led us here. And like, I can't just reach in and pluck out this moment and drop it on the page if there's not an ending of some sort. And so that's like, thinking about structure and story and development are all things that I'm now finding that I'm like trying to push myself into. Yeah. Even though there's like no stakes for anybody else and no one else knows that it's happening. I'm like, I want to go through that because I want to get better. And also like, I'm very wordy. I don't know if you know this, but I talk a lot and I can write a lot, and I want to figure out how to write more succinctly to get even more of that punch, like burn away the fat, and what's left is the really, really good stuff.
What are the essential elements of the story? If you were to remove any one element of the story, it would fall apart because it's that necessary. Like it has to be a bridge build of keystones, right? And then you can maybe put some cool structure on there, but like it has to be like you said, the meat and potatoes.
So do you find that when like with Enchanted Circus, working with Jason, who came up with the idea for the whole thing and the world, like how much of that is yours to burn away, to reduce down, or do you even have to when it comes to like actually putting words in the characters' mouths?
Yeah, like characterization's been really fun. That's one area where I can kind of put a bit of myself into the characters. There's a character, Blaze, who's kind of like the most like X-Men coded character. He has these fire powers and he's young. And, the first time he uses his powers, he accidentally, hurt some people that are close to him. And like, he's still like getting over the, the hesitation that makes sense. If that were to happen to you at a young age, you would not want to use them. And now he's being encouraged and almost like being given a safe space to use his powers. And he's kind of learning to trust that environment. And so, there's really great characterization there. Jesterbot, who's the self-aware robot. He knows he's a robot and he knows he's not human. It doesn't have emotions, and emotions like perplex him, but he like vows to try to understand them, even though he doesn't at the moment. He's like, I'm committed to understanding what you humans are talking about when you're talking about emotions. Because like he's physically incapable of feeling emotions. But
like
but
the scene in the first issue when he's having his arms ripped on by the
yeah.
wrestler, and she's like, "Doesn't that hurt?" He's like, "Oh, ow, ouch, oh,
Oh, ooh, yeah.
I'm definitely a
Definitely.
human that feels pain. Owie."
Which I'm glad that people have responded to that because everybody's just like, "Yep, Jester Bot's my favorite character. I love him." So I think that one was a success.
Yeah,
I'm just glad any of it came through and it wasn't just an awkward thing to read. And people were like, "I'm picking up what you're putting down,"
yeah,
in any respect. So
right.
really glad that one shined through. But yeah, it's been fun because like he gave me these characters that had like maybe like motivations or backstory, but didn't have a whole lot of life breathed into them, right? So like I had to. That was kind of my job, was to kind of treat them with care and say, okay, well, if this character grew up this way and they're trying to have their own magic show or be a pro wrestler or whatever it is, how would one respond in that scenario?
Yeah.
And like Draven is one of the most like deep characters that we really dive into, because like he's your typical heel. He's just at the beginning of the story comes in, hey, I'm going to kick your ass. I've got a score to settle. I'm this big evil pirate, but it's a little bit more deep than that, because there is backstory and there is lore about why he's villainized and ostracized in a real way, and whether he responds to that in the right way is yet to be seen. But
Yeah.
there is real harm there. There's like an injustice that he's speaking to, and so like going into like the history of piracy is really fun, like in the real world, and trying to have that injected into the story as much as possible.
Yeah.
It has been really fun, because like in every villain that people love, obviously you're supposed to hate the villains in Drunk Mom because they're evil, but the villains in Enchanted Circus are really fun and like colorful, and every kid loves a pirate, so like
Yeah.
it's really easy to make people like pirate villains because they're fun. And so like all you got to do is make that character compelling, and then it works. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but I do have to do the right things in order to make that story work. And so it was really fun to craft that 3-issue arc. Issue 3, they're like, outside of some sickness, it was on schedule to be done. Issue 2, so it's maybe a week behind, and so we're getting ready to go to the printers and get ready for issue 3's launching, which is a big finale. It's my first comic series that is reaching a finale, and we'll probably go to trade paperback first. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
Because I wrote this big cinematic ending. I was really inspired by like Peter Pan, Willy Wonka, and probably like Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Are my big 3 tonal inspirations.
That's fair. I mean, you've got the villainous pirate captain, so like that lends itself. It feels like
So Wizard of Oz, Peter Pan, and sorry about that. Those are my 3 like tonal inspirations for the finale. It's big. It's a big swing, and if it lands, it's a home run, and I really really want it to land. It's this giant spectacle that I think comic books are really uniquely positioned to execute these kind of big ideas. Like even animation, is a lot cheaper to do big ideas than like feature films, right? Like in terms of budget, and like comic books are probably even cheaper than doing animation for some of these big ideas we're doing. So issue 3 has every question that issues 1 and 2 raise answered, and secrets are revealed. Heroes and villains, the line is blurred, and there's just characters that get judged, I think, by the audience for the first time in a real way. And hopefully what we're saying with the finale resonates, because there's a really really wholesome message in there about creativity and hope and wonder, that hopefully again lands in a way that like makes people feel emotional. Like that's kind of what the goal is to make people feel inspired to create. And I don't want to give too much away, but the legacy of the circus is really, we're trying to pass the torch to the next generation. That's kind of the thesis.
That's cool. Is there anyone in the moment, because anytime someone talks about pirates, I always think of the movie that was made by the Somali or about the Somali pirates taking over the ship that like happened in real life, and I think Tom Hanks was the captain or something. But the guy in the I never actually saw the movie, but the guy in the trailer goes, "I'm the captain now," and
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I said that in at work to one of the guys. He was like, "Well, you're saying this, and like I don't want to." I'm getting mixed signals because I'm getting this from this other side. And I was like, I'm the captain now. And I don't think he got the reference, but I was like, it's a pirate thing, man. And also like, do what I say, because I'm your manager. But like, does anyone say to Draven, I'm the captain now? I know that's a really long preamble for just a
so I will say, so in the back of Enchanted Circus, this 20-page story, which is the main story, and then 4-page backup story in each one. So first one we saw kind of Captain Draven's like not origin but like reputation. He goes to the bar and somebody challenges him to a drinking contest and they call him yellow, and he's like, do you know who I am? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're missing an eyeball, you have a cool laser eye, you could only be one person, you could only be Captain Draven. And he's like, you're gosh darn right, that is who I am. And so like it's like a cool introduction to that character. But in issue 2 we see kind of it's a Iron Man in the cave moment where he's like building a giant piece of armor for himself while also hammering out some of his emotions through beating the metal, which is really fun. And then issue 3 is kind of him earning the title of captain in a real way. So while not literally those words, I think he does earn the title of captain in the backup story of issue 3.
Okay.
And then we have Salvage 1 obviously goes back through his backstory, right? Because he comes back in issue 1. He's here to settle a score. He was in prison for 10 years, right? So he starts as this ringmaster of the circus. Ringo kind of takes over, gets him framed, thrown to jail. And so where was Draven for 10 years? How did he go from being a ringmaster to being a pirate? And that story is what Salvaged is all about. And so when he gets back through, issues 1 through 6 of Salvaged, issue 6 ends with him jumping into the circus to get his revenge. And so it's a real full circle moment where he gets his superhero landing, but it's from his perspective, right? He's not breaking through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man into Ringo's story. He's been on a 10-year journey to go get what is his. And so really, really fun way to flip the entire thing upside down and flip the script on the story we've already told. So
yeah, that's an awesome storytelling device to have it like legitimately end like it could be a page turn into issue 1. Like that's super slick. I like that idea. So talk to me about Savage, because I know it's going to be 6 issues. I know you said you've got the first 3 issues written. We know it's a prequel, but like, why did this story have to be its own prequel series?
So the art search that we did for Enchanted Circus 1, we were looking for an artist. We ended up going with Emilio Utrera, who's fantastic. His tone and like almost like anime mixed with American, traditional comics style really spoke to those cartoonish characters. And so, we looked at Joey Mason, who ended up doing the backup story. His style was, while cartoony, also very, loose and sketch and like almost like concept art feel, which we like, and we ended up using for the backup story. And then there's this other artist, this guy named Just Swamp, and he did this art style, and so it's very dark and moody.
Yeah,
and like I really love it. It reminded me of Will Eisner, and we were like, wow, this is way too dark for Enchanted Circus, but we do love everything about this art. It's just not for this project. And so like, it was a product of collaboration, right? Hey, are you interested in writing this grim, dark, steampunk, but like industrial story about him being in the prison. And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And so, the more we kept pulling on that thread, of making, let's see, here's some concept art in here about, there's like different weapons that
Dude,
are like,
those are, yes, those are so rad.
yeah, like they're in a salvage yard, and so there's junk everywhere. There's a park in Virginia Beach called Mount Trashmore. It's a landfill that's covered with grass, and it's one of the best parks in Virginia Beach. People fly kites there all the time. Everybody knows it, but like before it was a park, 100 years ago, it was this salvage yard prison where they turn scrap metal into giant airships. But it's also like it's a prison camp. It's a labor camp, and so it's dark and horrible in its treatment of the workers. And so how would you respond in this situation? And Draven is kind of just thrown into this world of darkness, and he has to not only just survive but like learn to thrive. And I found the themes, although very dark, to be very inspiring, because like there's something human about like why the caged bird sings, and just kind of how humanity is able to galvanize in a situation like that. And although he comes out a more grizzled pirate guy, he's still him, and he doesn't lose his humanity in 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. So really fun. And awesome. The art was what came first, right? Like we came up with this Minotaur character.
Yeah,
we did an homage to Jason's first appearance of Red Hulk, right? Yep. With the cover. But yeah, it just came organically. The story is really about this prison master, this warden, this prison warden who has a son and tortures him and treats him terribly, as well as obviously all the other prisoners. And we were trying to flesh out like what a prison city would look like, right?
Yeah,
that was one of the first pieces of concept art we had for the entire thing, because like we want the prison yard to be a character. As much as Gotham City is a character in Batman, we want the prison yard to have character enough to move the story forward. Because it's a whole world of people that live outside the city that are in poverty, that they work at the prison and they're like contractors because they have to, because that's where the economy is in the area. It's a rough time. It takes place in 1890, which, if you don't know, is like basically the Industrial Revolution coming to America and starting to do some of the evil things that gave us like the EPA and OSHA and stuff like that, and like the antitrust legislation. So like it really is a dark place, not just for Draven and not just in the prison, but just in the country. And so like we wanted to highlight those, but also highlight some of those same forces that allowed humanity to move past that era. And I think my job as a writer is to like make that relevant now, make that usable for today's audience, because some of those themes, while yes, historic and something in black and white in a documentary or in a concept art, can seem dated. But there's a reason why. I don't know if you saw the They Will Not Grow Old, or They Might Not Grow Old. It's oh my gosh, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It's by Peter Jackson, which again is obviously a great filmmaker. Lord of the Rings, if you don't know who Peter Jackson is, he did those, which are some of the most awarded movies of all time. And he did Get Back by the Beatles on Disney Plus, and so he takes black and white footage from World War I. So when film is in its infancy, there's a ton of footage of people going to World War I and like rolling cameras at the war, and it's insane to like the Centennial organization reached out to Peter Jackson in like 2014 2018, and we're like, hey man, can you help us with this project? We want to have it done for the Centennial of World War I. And he said, like, do you understand like the technical feat that we are trying to do with this project is like take footage from the 1910s, which is all non-standard frame rates, non-standard dimensions, right?
Yep.
And make a feature film at 60 frames and in the same aspect ratio throughout. Like that alone is insane. There's also no audio to use for everything, so we would have to write. And what they ended up doing was using footage, like audio footage from interviews from World War I veterans from like the 60s and 70s, and creating a like, hey, this is what the average British boy who's like age 16 to 18 might experience going into World War I. And like, he also, the thing that makes it work for me is he colorized it, right? He did just what he did with Get Back, because it looks like you're watching a modern film.
Yeah.
Because it's colorized. It's not black and white. And so when he colorizes the footage, you don't just see a historical record of, World War I. You see boys who are 16. And you're looking at them in the eyes, and they're looking into the camera, and they're being 16-year-old boys, and they're going, ah, because that's what 16-year-old boys do when a camera's around, and they still do, because humans and cameras will always do that.
Yep.
It hits emotionally different because you can see the humanity of these people, and like that was one of the most inspiring things to me, to take this steampunk fantasy world from 1890 and make it real. And like I obviously will not do as good of a job as Peter Jackson did, but if I could do 1% of a good job that Peter Jackson did, it would have been a success in my book. So
yeah,
that was one of the biggest inspirations for me.
That's awesome. I love talking about like the wartime coverage, whether it's World War I or II, and just I always think so as a camera operator, I always think about that, and like we have modern cameras, right? And so the cameras that I'm using when I'm shooting hockey or basketball or volleyball or whatever, they're heavy, but like it's still only maybe 12 pounds, 15 pounds that I'm carrying on my shoulder.
These when you're King Konging around like Jack Black doing this, it's not the same.
And those guys were
also Peter Jackson,
in the freaking war zone, and they were toting around cameras, and you had limited space because you had to record reel to reel, and so you're only able to record on as much film as you're carrying with you, which then adds weight. Like the technical prowess just to be able to film what they filmed blows my mind. So thinking about then taking that, and I mean, there's so much that you would have to go through for interviews and the footage to make sure that you match tonally what's happening, and that you find audio clips that work well with the B-roll that you've got to then splice that stuff to, like, that's insane. So then taking that same idea and applying it into Enchanted Circus, like you're talking about, or even then salvaged, like that feels like a huge undertaking of just like research. Like, was it?
Yeah. I really wanted to treat the source material, and in this case, it's steampunk, and I think steampunk is like the setting as much as it is like the genre. But it's also as much steampunk as it is like historical fiction, and really treating that with the reverence that it deserves. And like we are planning potentially a continuation of Enchanted Circus 4 through whatever, and that is also very historical fiction based. We want to include historical figures in Richmond, like Maggie Walker, who's a Black professional who is one of the first to have a Black-owned bank in the United States, and treat that with as much studied realism as it is, and not just parade a character with the face and name of Maggie Walker, but have her not be anything close to what she was in real life. There is a lot of homework that you have to do to make that make sense in a way that is realistic. And we want to pay respect and honor to those figures, like, because the historic figures are historic for a reason, right? They're not people that sit at tables that aren't created for them and don't flip them. Like there's like, whether you're talking about Jesus of Nazareth or Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or Maggie Walker or like any sort of revolutionary or activist, like we look back and reflect on their legacy with a positive lens because of the outcome. But like at the time, I'm sure they were not, given the same treatment. And so like you really have to delve into the mind of what somebody in the time would think and try to make a story that is timeless despite it being historical fiction.
That feels like a really big challenge. Like, I would assume that you have to be like a nerd about history to even want to approach historical fiction. Like, is that something like, that you've had?
Yeah, like another inspiration is like Andor, right? Like Tony Gilroy, like he, wrote the Andor series before, the Trump presidency came out, and like the series came out after, some of the events that they paralleled, and people were like, hey, like, how did you know that this would be politically relevant to now? And he's like, well, I didn't, like I wrote something that seemed historically prescient, and the fact that people are following the same playbook is not my fault. Like, right? Like same thing with Superman and James Gunn. Basically saying like, hey, it's not my fault. Like people in real life are being cartoonishly evil. It's my job to make cartoon stories for kids. So like, sorry, like I'm sorry if Jeff Bezos feels connected to Lex Luthor in any real way or Elon Musk, but like that's not my fault. So like, I really do enjoy like the commentary that art can have, and it doesn't solve everything. It really doesn't, right? Like a new season of Daredevil or The Boys or whatever isn't going to fix the discourse, but it does have a role of like having us have conversations. And like art is one of those things that, seems like dissent when it's criticizing people in power. But it, if it holds truth, that just is a product of what it's saying being true and not, being a specific attack on one individual. Right.
You're taking the ideal and examining the idea of a cartoonishly villainous person, not necessarily a specific cartoonishly evil person.
Right. Like 5 years ago, I, when I started writing comics, I really was starting to use the language of like morality tales. Like I love the idea of like fiction and like specifically like fairy tales. And like children's stories, like Grimm's Brother Grimm's tales and stuff, and like mythology, and just those tales being used to describe complex ideas to kids. And like I really liked The Silver Surfer growing up when it was like 7 or 8. Like I was reading Stan Lee's and John Buscema's Silver Surfer run in like the Marvel Essentials. And like that is probably Stan Lee's most like cerebral work, is like delving into, why humans think the surfer is, evil because he is an alien, and like just the immediate attacking of something that is different. And he just kind of like, gets attacked by the US military and like doesn't attack them. He just like runs away and is like, why is humanity like this? And like, to me as a kid, I got it. Like I was aware of what they were trying to say about mankind's, predisposition to violence, and hesitancy to understand things that are different. And like that left an impact on me. And like that had, I'm sure, maybe something to do with, current events in the 60s. Like it was 1969 when that came out. So like, I'm sure there was something that he was referencing at the time, but it was just as relevant to me in 2000 when I read it. Because those themes are timeless, like when you have values and you have truths and morals, those don't have an expiration date, and they don't have to have a stamp of, what time they were written in to be true. The tortoise and the hare is just as true for me, who's trying to make a bajillion comics and then gets burnt out, as it was when they wrote it. Like it's the same lessons of wisdom that are passed down from generation. And I'm happy to be involved in that practice. And that's what I was saying 5 years ago. If I feel a little bit more political because of the time, like that's not really because what I'm writing has changed. It's just writing morality tales seems divisive in a world that seemingly doesn't have a lot of morality. So.
Yeah. It's funny how when a lot of the moral compass kind of gets broken, those that stick to it and still want to follow it and maybe point out like, hey, I think the compass is broken. Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
The people that don't want to talk about it are the ones that are then like, well, what do you do? You're just kids' funny books. Like, shut up. And that's when the criticism comes. And I think it goes back to the statement that my mom always used to say, if you smelt it, you probably dealt it. And so like, if you're the one that's doing the thing and you're getting all up in arms about the thing, like Jeff Bezos potentially with Lex Luthor or whoever, like, I mean,
the hit dog will holler, man.
Like he's not saying it's you specifically, but if you see a lot of you in the villain, that's not a James Gunn problem, Jeff. That's a you problem.
Right.
So
I really do enjoy the tradition of morality tales storytelling, and I'm happy to be involved in it. And like I think when I was first on talking about Enchanted Circus, like it was basically right after the 2024 election, and so like I kind of wrote Enchanted Circus in that headspace of just like optimism and hope and wonder. And like that's just kind of I think how I felt at the time, and like that was a really important thing for me to write at the time. But like it's no less relevant 2 years later when it's finally coming out, and I'm glad that my commitment to being interested in tales of good and evil, like in Dungeons and Dragons or Tolkien, serves me well, right? And there's a reason why I like gravitate towards it, because it does serve as a North Star for a lot of people. Like in dark times, people will just rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson or just reread some of these books because it provides a necessary comfort. It's what's his name, Ethan Hawke, talking about people treating artists as like frivolous and like decadence and just this opulence, when like, okay, well, when you go through a divorce or you have a loved one that dies, I mean, you turn to art as sustenance because in those moments they are. And like I feel honored that there's even an audience in the crowdfunding market for a story that I have to tell. Like that's just a wonderful surprise that it's a successful Kickstarter, and there's people that really resonate with the stories. Like I did a Comic-Con in Tidewater, so Virginia Beach, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, I read issue 1 of Drunk Mom. I read issue 1 of Enchanted Circus. Like I'm really excited. Oh, issue 2's out. I'll grab issue 2." And like just that community is so important to me that like I was not expected to run into a great community of people that resonate with the stories. Like that's just a happy surprise of telling these stories, is that people resonate with them, and I'm really glad that they do.
I do think that there's something to be said about seeking like optimistic fuel for your own fire in stories, because like when I met Stan Lee, I had prepared this whole 30-second speech for like what the X-Men meant to me. Because I would look to the X-Men of like, well, they're different and everybody hates them, but they're still doing the right thing. And so if I'm getting bullied and picked on, like I can still choose to do the right thing in spite of that. And like that got me through school, until I got to a point where I was like, why do I care about what people think of me? And then something switched like my sophomore year of high school, and then everything was fine. And I found who I was through like finding punk rock and theater, and found my people. And then suddenly everything was great. But I turned to the X-Men first, because it was like, well, I know these stories and I know these characters and I know what they're going for and going through and what they're about. And so like, if I had a crap day, I'll just sit down and read the same issue of the X-Men again, because I know it's familiar, but it also like it's gonna give me the escape and also relatability that I don't have anywhere else. So like it there is something to be said about that. And I've been thinking a lot again, this whole like self-referential introspection thing. Those are two really big words. Wow. But not the norm here on Longbox Punk, but I've been thinking a lot about just like motivations and the whys and all of those things.
That's what writing is.
It like the thing that it really gets my goat is the weaponization of nostalgia. Like that it seems like society is just doing now. And yes, I enjoy seeing, you know, Taco Bell release something that they had back in the 90s, because I'm like, oh yeah, I used to ride my bike down to Taco Bell like on the main street, and I would lie to my mom like, I'm going over to Joey's, and then Joey and I would get on our bikes and ride down to Taco Bell and buy the taco thing that they just put out. And it's like, okay, Taco Bell, fine. But then, you know, all of these bands, I keep hearing about all of these like this is the year that bands from 20 years ago are saying, wait a second, we can just do another tour and give people a nostalgic night out. And like some of them are even calling it like the tour of nostalgia. And it's two or three bands that were big when, you know, I was in high school that haven't done anything since, that now all of a sudden are like, oh no, we're going to put together a tour, and we might put together an EP or something. And so now I'm just like the pessimist in me is just like, what's really going on? Like, why all of a sudden is everything coming out that's nostalgia based? And it's the answer that I've gotten to
capitalism
is, well,
it's profitable.
Yes. And also like that tells me if we as a generation are looking for nostalgia, it's because what currently is happening in the social and political climate sucks. And
it's a distraction. Like it's do you have no hope for the future? Are you nihilistic? Are you black-pilled? Oh, remember when everything was fine and all you had to do was drink a Sunny D while watching Battletoads? Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that was awesome. But we also have to, you know, fix you know, our healthcare situation in this country and the housing situation. Like there's no distracting me away from that. We still have to do that.
Yeah, but if you do make new pogs, like
I will
Mason
buy them,
has,
but yes. Only from independent creators on Kickstarter.
Absolutely. I will cherish. I have like a little tube that's going of pogs that I've gotten from campaigns and stuff, because I'm like, yeah, that's fun. Like it's just fun. But I'm hyper aware of that stuff because I like my degree is in broadcasting. So I studied it. And it's not just how to make and create and produce broadcasting stuff. It's also like the effectiveness of advertising and why advertising happens. And so I'm hyper aware all the time of like, well, a story about a dead kid is going to get more clicks than a story about a World War II veteran getting honored at a surprise 99th birthday party at their church. Like it's just people don't click on feel good stuff, so we don't prioritize it. Surprise! If you didn't know that, that's what
like,
happens. Like,
the you know, the sensationalized media is going to be more successful, and so like I think while the nostalgia market used to be making an Iron Man movie and selling the toys for the Iron Man movie, so that, you know, you who grew up, you know, reading comics can now have your kid grow up and play with toys, like that was pretty standard. You know, but now it'll be like, hey, here's a Funko Pop of a VHS clam, and then open it up and there's Simba, and you're like, I still own the VHS. What are we doing? Yeah, like I have this. It's so like it's a weird cultural thing where, like, you know, back when we were kids, like being a nerd was a closeted event, and you know, finding somebody who liked Star Wars was a dog whistle for nerds who were like, oh, cool, we can talk about Star Wars now. And so like it was a safe space. And so now that the entire world is a safe space for nerds, you know, in that time, people have gotten rid of their physical media. they've removed disc drives from PlayStations, and there's nobody owns a DVD player anymore. What is that? And then also having disc drives on your computer, like you can't use a CD or a DVD if you wanted to. And so like vinyl is growing again because it's kind of hey, I don't want to pay $10 a month for Spotify. It's I want to own the media and like take time to like put down my phone and like put on a record because it's worth it. It's like rest seems like a radical act. And so does creation, for that matter, in a world that, wants to hyper monetize everything.
Yeah.
And so that's why the world needs art, is because it is an inherently human act to just sit down and think and daydream and come up with ideas and then take the time to actualize them. And it's something that's not going away anytime soon, no matter how much AI they try to shove in our face. So
I am reminded of something that I saw on Instagram that said every act of creation is a act of micro rebellion. And I was like, I can get behind that. Like I'm not the type that will go to the front lines of a rally and all, like that's too people-y for me, but I will absolutely create in spite of circumstance. And that's not to say that like I can come home every night skipping from a bad day at work and then look at the news and be like, oh God, everything sucks. I'm going to create anyway. Like there's still days that I'm like, everything sucks. Just put on Ghost Adventures. I don't care. Yeah. And like, those are really good nights for my wife and I, because we just need to turn off and recharge a bit. But then there's other times that I'm like, no, I do have something to say. And I want to write this thing and take it and put it in this setting. And like, I want to make comics about this thing because I want to get it out there. And like, maybe people will hear a message that way because it's a comic. And like, one of my pitch lines has become, with Barricade Brigade, like it's a punk band that's defending their music venue from a corporate monster, only to find out that it's a real monster. And don't worry, there's no subtext at all. This is just a really fun comic. And like, at one point I said it just as like I was just going line, with it. And and the person had that exact same reaction. And I was like, oh, cool. And so now when I say it, I pay attention, and every single person suddenly goes, oh, okay.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
And like they kind of dial in a little bit, like they lean in a little bit and their shoulders come down. And I see the walls of like, man, I don't want to give you all my money. Like those don't come down, but they start to like crumble a little bit.
Yeah. And so, like horror and sci-fi and fantasy have always been vehicles for commentary, right? Like there's a story to tell about forces of good and evil, and those just have different fonts in a cyberpunk story than they do in a fantasy story. It's the same message though. Like every movie coming out nowadays is also kind of about that. Like the art is meeting the moment very, very much, especially in like the smaller independent movies. Like we just saw I Love Boosters, which is very much that. The new Running Man, the new movie with Seth Rogen and what's his name from Parks and Rec. And Keanu Reeves, that movie where he's like an angel and he swaps places with. It's the same tale of the Buddha of like a rich aristocrat going to see what the poor people's lives is like, and like that is a religious experience, right? Like there's a reason why people continually tell that story, is because it's effective and it resonates with people. So
we just watched the new Running Man last night, and I loved it because he was like literally giving the middle finger to the big company that was running everything. I was like, guys, this is what's happening. This is what's happening right now.
Wake up!
And at the end of it,
get more punk right now.
Right at the end of it, my wife, who usually is like, yeah, okay, babe, was like, no, I really liked that. I was like, dude, that's
Running Man's what did it for you? Okay,
that's
cool.
the message. Awesome. Like that's what I've been saying for years, babe. And she's like, yeah, but that was good.
I liked that. Yeah,
I was like, okay, cool. But it is like it's those messages, and it was just smart, right? Like it's a smart. Yes, there's a lot of violence and action and all the things, but it was a smart movie because it similar to the Hunger Games was pointing out the like, hey, they're willing to do anything to keep you complacent.
Yep.
Is really like the thing. And
yeah, if you don't think your government would do things like that, I mean, just listen to the Behind the Bastards podcast, like the 1985 move bombing, all the experimentation with like bioweapons in San Francisco, and literally just putting experimental drugs into the community. Like it's just, yes, they would, but also, like there's there's receipts. Like we watched Chicken Run on our nostalgic trip yesterday.
Okay.
And I realized that Salvaged is essentially Chicken Run, but with humans. And I was like, hold on. I'm uncomfortable with the amount of parallels to Chicken Run that's happening right now. So, yeah. Also, yeah, for fans of Chicken Run, Salvaged is on pre-launch on Kickstarter right now. So make sure you follow.
It is. Actually, all three of the books series that we've been talking about, all the pre-launches are in the show notes. So you can click and follow the pre-launch for Enchanted Circus of Wonder issue 3, which is the finale for this first arc. You can click the link for Drunk Mom number 4, which is coming, you said, October?
We're on October-ish, yeah.
Okay. And then Salvage number 1, which is the prequel that we've been talking about that I'm really excited about because the artwork and the pages that are on the pre-launch page, which is linked in the description, are like, holy
really
shit,
fun.
dude.
Yeah,
like,
we're thinking about doing
so cool.
We're thinking about doing like a TTRPG module with some of the art because like since we've developed a lot of this, city, this prison city, like and the art style really does remind me of some of the retro game modules. I think it would be not a whole lot of effort on anyone but my part to just come up with a module way to sell the same story. Make it something that people could download or just print or even buy on Kickstarter. So it'd be really fun. And then I don't think we've talked very explicitly about Drunk Mom number 4, but in Drunk Mom number 3, she has a new costume, right? It was kind of on the last page, the cameo at the end of issue 2. She has a new costume. She's the Inducer. She has an electric gun. And so she is still very hesitant about the whole superheroing thing because her car got blown up. And then in issue 4, an assassin comes to her house and follows her while her kid's in the car and tries to kill her. So it is hitting extremely close to home for Monica, and she is realizing more and more that now that she is in this world, she cannot escape it. Since this mercenary named Skullivan has coming to shoot her.
Such a great name.
It's amazing. Skullivan's one of my favorites. He will definitely continue to be in the series. He's a Russian mercenary who is an expat, and like he's in his time in the military, he had like an explosive go off and hit the bottom half of his face is like melted off. So he's like Two-Faced, but instead of this way, it's this way.
Outstanding.
And he has a bandana that is like a skull teeth, like a skull smile. Like you would have if you're a biker or whatever, but he throws it over his, otherwise it actually looks like that face.
That's awesome.
To make it more socially acceptable for himself. So yeah, he's a really, really fun, almost like Taskmaster kind of character. He doesn't really have a whole lot of allegiance to anybody but himself. But he does get hired to kill Monica.
Hell yeah.
Really fun. Yeah.
I mean, you have to put stuff in your stories, right, that are just fun for you. Sure, like readers are going to resonate and find the characters that they like a whole lot, but there's always going to be the one or two that you're just like, nah, I just have a lot of fun writing this character.
Yeah.
And that's part of the like joy about going deeper with Barricade Brigade is I already knew who my favorite character was, but in the first chapter, because we're doing like basically mini trades, we're not doing any floppy releases. So the first chapter is like 86, 88 pages, I think. And getting to really lean in on some of the characters and like have more of their personality come out and kind of discover at the time. Like I always hear writers be like, oh, the character was just talking to me. And I'm like, shut up. Like, no, you created it. But writing chapter 1 of Barricade Brigade, I definitely was like, oh no, she would like
letting the
Sarah,
characters lead. Yep,
yeah,
it's role play, right? Like, what would your character do? Not what makes logical sense,
yeah,
but if your character has this baggage and they hate droids, or
yeah,
whatever, the Mandalorian's going to act a little bit differently in a situation with a droid than any other character is because he hates droids for some reason. So, like,
yeah,
yeah, just is
yeah.
what it is.
It was definitely the like, oh, and I always have this visual of like when things click for me, of
Mhm.
my brain exploding into like this mist cloud of color. I have no idea why. I think it comes from the cover of season 1 Legion DVD
Okay,
set
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
he's like holding
Yeah.
himself and it's all the color and stuff.
Legion is criminally underrated TV
Oh,
series.
oh my god, it's so good.
So good.
Like that's where I first saw Aubrey Plaza, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
she's
wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
And then ever since, I'm like, oh yeah, what else is she in? I just watched Life After Beth this past
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit
She's
show!
great. Yeah.
It's insane, so good. But yeah, anyway, I had that moment writing chapter 1 of just like, oh, it's happening, and like all the colors are coming out, and I was like, no, get back in. I need to still write. I don't leave yet. And it just, I don't know. It's the joy of creating. And so the fact that you've got so much going on, and yes, I know you said a lot of it has already been written, but now you're in that time where now you're going to be cranking the wheels and talking to more people and on the marketing train and
Yep.
on back on that promo hamster wheel where you're just running and running and running, and you get to talk about it a lot over the next.
I'm having a lot of fun, and we have a bunch of new tiers for like new readers. Like, I like to give discounts. Like, if you're buying 4 issues of Drunk Mom, like, dude, I'm gonna throw you a bone. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're paying retail times 4 when you're getting into a new comic series, right? So, like, yeah, we love new readers. I'm really hoping that the fun that we're having creating translates into people having fun and wanting to join in with us and seeing that and resonating with that. So
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Those are all the things. I know we were going to talk about art, but I like where we talked. We hit all the things. It's always good.
Writing is the experience of doing what we just did, of just
It is
experiencing your life and then putting your experiences on paper. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing, no secret to writing.
There really isn't. I watched, so I'm one of the Patreon subscribers for Matt Kint, and like at the tier that I'm at, I got, he published like a whatever my tier is thing video of him writing the script for one of the short stories that he had in the EC Comics relaunch, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I was, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was like, dude's a genius. So it's going to be like, I'm going to learn something. It's literally just him sitting at the laptop, like, I don't like that line. I think I'm going to change that, and just like deletes it and then retype something. I'm thinking about this, like looking at his camera, and you can see the screen recording, and it's just anybody else, right? I was like, He's just a guy. Yeah. He's just a guy writing. There's no.
I love seeing the creation process for creatives like Frank Cho or like Jim Lee, and they will just erase everything they've done. And it's iterating it, right? Like giving yourself the permission to play with the toys in the toy box, right? And like I'm having a lot of fun playing with pirates and Russian mercenaries. So like as long as I'm having fun, hopefully the story is really fun.
Yeah. I think it comes through. It's not just like hey, we want you to write this story for this thing. Here's the framework, go. And you're like, but I hate.
Well, if there's pirates, I want there to be a Kraken. Can we do a Kraken? Okay, yeah, why not? Okay, cool, because that would be really fun to play with a Kraken. Yeah.
Because I need those tentacles. Like tentacles are so much fun to draw. So
and if we're doing magic, I need a dragon. Can we do a dragon? Is that
we get a dragon?
Yeah, we can do a dragon. Yeah, okay, cool. Now I know how to play with these. Yeah, so it's just fun. Yeah,
I love it.
You got to lead with fun.
So, yes, you do. Speaking of fun, we're gonna take our YouTube thumbnail. I don't.
Oh, nice.
I don't have any props nearby that feel like they're fitting, so I'll let.
Oh, I got one. Hold on.
This is the time where we pose and we take a YouTube thumbnail screenshot, and then this will be the thumbnail for the video forever for those that are new and uninitiated.
One of my friends made a drunk mom.
Oh, dude, that's so awesome. All right, I'm gonna be looking at that. Get the point in. There we go. We're gonna keyboard shortcut. Okay,
it's
there
mirrored,
we go.
so it's hard.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Cool.
That's gonna get so many clicks, bro. The other thing that I always like to end every show with is I love talking to creators on this show because they all have different walks of life. We come from different areas. Yep. We have different backgrounds and perspectives, and yet we all have the similarity of love, the love of creation, specifically in the comic book medium. And so in a world that says that we're all different, I like to lean into the sameness that we have. So to celebrate the differences that we do have, I just like to turn over the mic at the end of every stream and let the creators share whatever message they have. It could be a sales pitch for any of the books that you have. It could just be hey, I'm really excited to get married next month. I don't care about what the message is. I just want you to have some space to share whatever it is that you want people to hear from you. So CL Zeno, or Zenny, as I call you. I always think of Dragon Ball Super when Goku's talking about
I
Zenny.
do get that a lot, yeah.
And they're like, why are you can't call, did you call him Zenny? He's the Grand Master. And he's like, yeah, he's Zenny. Isn't he cute? Like, I always just think of Zenny. Anyway, I'm going to let Zenny take it over.
Yeah, this is a perfect timing because I have D&D in like 7 minutes. So don't stop creating. Don't stop playing. Don't give in to nihilism. So like, yes, I'm having fun writing Drunk Mom and Enchanted Circus. But it's a really hard time right now. I really do, want to not breeze past that. Finding your community is more important now than ever. So whether that's, a mutual aid group, your local chapter, whatever community you find, try not to just stay on your phone and stay inside and doom scroll all day. Go outside, go touch grass, have fun, go to your Comic-Con, read comics, and let yourself just kind of escape in your favorite shows and physical media and all that. So, just keep doing you, keep playing and creating, and keep the whimsy and the joy and the wonder and the color alive because we need it now more than ever.
I'm so glad you said whimsy. I was going to say that, like, make things whimsical.
Don't stop having fun.
Anton Blake mentioned putting whimsy in his comic, and I was like, dude, I love that you're putting whimsy in your, like, we need more whimsy. He was like, we need more whimsy. So yep. I love that, dude. We're gonna wrap it. That's the perfect way to send off. Lean into your communities and go do what's good for you and make some art because I want to see it. Bye, everybody.